Alright, Section 4, Making Your Own Interior Repairs. Contents: Interior maintenance: walls, ceiling, baseboard, molding, stairs, floors, double hinge hung windows, weather stripping windows, wood sash windows, casement windows, horizontal sliding windows, awning and joyless windows, frame installation, double hung windows, how to make aluminum storm windows, wood sash storm window screens, window shades, vatany and blinds, drape holder hardware, drapery hardware, doors, weather stripping doors, door locks for Mentec, tile, basement, and household pets. We're going to read as many as we can. Our inspection checklist: make a thorough inspection of the home inside of the cut once or twice of the year. Detecting, correcting repair problems before they become emergencies can save time, worry, and often money. Use the following list and strip the interior of the house. The attic: look for evidence of the roof leak, opening with a permanent entries of bats, other pests. Inspect insulation and rafters, ventilation openings, and chimney and side walls. 2. Windows: check for difficulty, operation, crack, broken panes, ash cords, chains, and needed replacements, faulty hand-operated locks, and weather stripping. Bathrooms: note their dripping faucets, leaking in shower heads, malfunctioning flush valves, inadequate hot water supply. Wells and ceiling: examine condition of the paint strip of the wallpaper to look for cracks, holes, bulges, and plusters and spring signs of loose tape on the wall board. Floor: inspect the loose and creaking hot boards, worn areas, cracked and chipped baseboards, molding, broken, missing floor tile. Staircase: note and loose and squeaking treads, shaky handrails, posts and cracked, broken bolsters. Radiator: check leaking valves, bleed off air starting of the heating season. Air conditioner: take out and clean filters before warming weather. Cover exterior and winter doors. Inspect sticking and sagging, examining lock and chains. Renew warm weather stripping. Fireplace: check dampers, firebox, earth grate, Adrian screen, mantelpieces. Kitchen: examine the appearance, wire cleaning of the ventilator fan, remove the accumulation dust and grease. 12. Doorbells: test all sonic apparatus, chimes, buzzers, burglar alarms. Furnace: check all leaks in pipe and fluid firebox. Examine the damper, check blower belt blades, replace filter, oil, motor. Test thermostat operation, electrical system. Look throughout the house for frayed cord, loose connection, malfunction switches and outlets. Plumbing: check drain, trap, waste pipes in basement, main water line, and shut off. Basement in general: look for signs of damper, nest leaks, cracked, broken floors, cracked walls. Pay special attention to the joint between the floor and the walls. This is most basement leaks development. Basement pipes: check all cold water pipes in the basement. Wrap them with insulating material to prevent sweating, subsequent dripping during the hot summer weather, possible freezing in the winter. 18. Window sills: take a heat beating, especially those that face the southern sun and sand and paint them. You can make them either windowsill maintenance and free covering with them with plastic laminate. 19. Basement windows: these are on the grade, slightly above the grade. Should be examined for the termite damage or over in foundation and concrete. Beams: make sure each beam is doing its share of the work with no visible spare space between a beam and the main housing girder. Drive a shim if necessary. Alright, patching cracks and plastered walls. Most crack plasters will caused by the settlement, vibration, atmospheric condition, but some may be to do with the faulty construction. It takes careful inspection, particularly around doors, windows, moldings, and corners for fine hairline cracks that could become larger, whatever their size. All the cracks must be replaced before redecorating can begin. Repairing cracks varies much according to the site of the origin. In most cases, the settlement cracks will not need further attention. Vibration cracks, generally small and probably require periodic repair. Cracks can cause by the atmospheric condition, most prevented by controlling temperatures. Cracks due to faulty construction usually will not reoccur if the cause is eliminated. Alright, repairing hairline cracks. Loosen particles running through a thin blade along the crack. Dust and rub parts of sparkle of the wood across the crack of the fingertip, forcing it as deep as possible. Make sure that the repair thoroughly dry and surface sand if leveled before applying the finish of the prime in the repaired area from the shellac the sealer of the absorption of the paint. Okay, bend the tip of the tang and end of the file into the hook and enlarge under the cut over opening of the provide grip to the filter. Prepare enough patching material to fit the crack and thicken the bolt and butterfly existence immediately to use. Apply water and brush and spray thoroughly dampen the surface and fully depth of the open crack. Use flexible putty knife to fully open and completely with the patching material and then remove the excess from the surface. Use a finer grade sandpaper, wrap around sand block and smooth the patch and then make it level. When the patch has been dried, apply a prime coat over the tilted in the crack and the surrounding areas. When the patch in a large crack under it, remove the loose plaster, dampen as you would a small crack. Make a batch plaster and cavity. Allow dry period for 24 hours. Shrinkage may occur during the drying. Shrinkage occurs dampening cuts off in the area to clarify the treatly elastic with the dry sand smooth and apply primer coat. Alright, walls and ceiling, patching holes in plaster walls. You can fill small holes with plaster walls, such as those made with a nail with a dent caused by the furniture. You can spark with a wall-board compound under filling with a material surface for the purpose to prepare the area for filling. First, remove the loose of the plaster around of the hole. Be sure that getting a good bond dampen the area around the edge of the cavity before applying the filter. Applying the patching material to the area of the drive several hours. The sand smooth and flush and using circular motion to bend the edges of the patch. Prime the patch before applying the first coated paint. Patch of the large hole best plastered by patching material requires most of the source of backing support wire mesh, expanded metal lath, heavy hardboard wear cloth, but only put on at least 2 applications of plaster, forcing the first through the mesh and then backing acts as an anchor to press the material. Fill the hole completely with the second with the patching plaster. Dry sand entire new area until it's smooth and level, then prime it in for finishing. Plaster is best in large holes on major areas, but patching materials such as spackle will serve there. Only a few of relatively small holes to be filled. They may become black spackle to go further, combining it with plaster pairs before adding water, using a mixture of the reduced dry time. When you fill a large hole, it's a good idea to incorporate a small amount of heavy-duty nylon thread, horsehair in the patching material. This acts as a binder material, considerable strength of the patch. Working with wallboard. Wallboard consists of fire-resistant gypsum covered with a bullseye with a tough layer of the paper. Standard wallboard is 1/8, 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/5/8 of an inch thickness. Panels are up to 4 feet wide and come in the various lengths up to 12 to 16 feet, ready to be finished with the pre-coated, decorated. Most wallboards cover panels are tapered to the face side, allow the application of the wallboard, just compound tape adjoining materials. Panels smooth over the continuous wall surface with the other edges showing special, often decorative architectural purposes. 2 coats wallboard joint compound usually used over the wallboard tape, so the compound dries slowly. Wait overnight for the applications. Tools and technique. The tools you need to work with a wallboard include the steel roof straight edge trimming knife, equipped with a sharp head with a heavy replaceable blade used to score the surface of the board for breaking. Among necessary installation tools of crowning head hammer to drive the nails, forming a dip in the wallboard plastic pan to hold joint compound, 4-inch finishing knife and a 10-inch squall, medium grade sandpaper, keyhole saw, utility saw, hacksaw, or tin snips. Also, worthy considerable tools serve the special purpose of making work easier. Some such as circle cutters, rubber mallets, and inside corner tool, a T-square, and a caulking gun. Cutting the board. Before cutting the wallboard, check the measurements carefully to be sure the panel will slip easily into place. Make straight cuts on the face side of the full length of the width of the board. Cut and may be made with a saw if necessary, but a sharp trimming knife is recommended to hold the blade right angle to the board and then cut along the straight edge and heavy enough not to move through your cut as you cut. Score completely through the face paper and part way into the core. Break in the core of the snapping of the bending of the way from the scored paper side, while the partially separated portion of rolled back cut of the exposure Backing paper with a knife with either above or below. Smoothing the edges, rasp, cord, sand, papered metal lathe wrapped around the wooden block. On a baseboard, carefully measure the mark of the pencil location, hold the electrical outlets, other openings, drill holes, and corners openings. Use a knife to score the outline of the place to be removed. Score the diagonal lines as well as use little hammer blows to knock into out the segments. Remove them from the fine tooth keyhole saw. Be sure that the cutout are accurate and the cover plate will completely conceal the edge of the hole. Placing wall boards. When damaging a wallboard panel, serve the repairs and practicated with the only recourse of the replace the entire panel. First, make sure that the replacement wallboard is the same thickness as the one you replace. Using a trimming knife, cut down into the center of the tape into the joint compound between the damaged board and adjacent one. Taking all the nails, remove the old panel, pull. Always loose the tape from the board, which join and sand with the rough portion of the remain. After carefully measuring, opening a file, cut out the new panel if necessary. Use a sharp trimming knife, sand the edges, smooth with a foot powdered wallboard lifter. Improve the two-piece of the wood will provide helpful lifting new section against the wall when the board is in place. Fit it snug and nail the new panel securely, making sure that the butts against the width of the adjoining panels. Use a ring-type nut nails. When they're hammering, exert firm tight handle pressure on the panel to hold the wallboard tight against the stud framing member. Drive all nails perpendicular to the wall, dipping at each nail head. Cover the nails with joints and compound fill joints, and then apply the tape on page 96. When compound has dried, and second coat and let dry, and apply third if necessary. Feather each coating out progressively farther from the center when dry, sand and prime. Tapping a wallboard joint. A wallboard joint is properly tapered with a blend of the toe of the wood surrounding wall won't be noticeable for the time. Careful to be the application both compound tape and however to obtain source of the harmonious result. Wallboard joint compound can be purchased remixed in a powder form, becoming the paste of it when mixed with water. Standard wallboard tape is made of 2-inch perforated paper crumbs in 75, 250, and 500-foot rolls. When the tape is embedded in the compound with the fills are recessed between the tape and the edge of the two adjoining wall boards, the compound oozes the perforation of the surface and strengthening the bond. After embodied tape and compound have dried, apply a second coat of the compound directly over the first, and make the first coat. Make this coat 6 to 8 inches wide and feather out from the center. Allow the second coat to dry and add a third coat. Third and final application should be feathered out 12 to 14 inches from the center of the first coat with the thoroughly with dry and then lightly with a medium grade sandpaper wrapped around the sanding block. This is necessary to make the butt joint wallboard so that it's not tapered following the same procedure, but the form slightly build up the center of the joint, and it would be wise in this case to extend feathering to 2 to 4 inches beyond the distance of the suggested tapered edge of joint. Taping inside corner. Taping inside corner as you would a flat seam, but the fold tape is in the corner angle. Use this wallboard joint compound to fill the crack where the walls come together. Apply enough compound to the wall surface to embed fold the tape. Press the compound firmly into the corner, finishing the knife. Feathering excess. Let dry. Follow the second and third cords wet and dry, and sand and finish. Taping outside corner. Reinforce outside corners with a metal edge to call the corner corner bead. One type shown here has a paper flange, and they applied with the joint and compound. Other types are nailed framing through the wallboard. Repairing a small hole in the wallboard. To fix a small hole wallboard patch in the damaged area, enlarge the operating rectifier with a regular shape, then cut the patch to the same size and shape of the small scrap wallboard. Drive a screw in part of the center of the patch and act as a handle. Remember the edge of the patch is jointly compound fit within with a hole. When the dry, remove the screw of the vitriol of the compound with the entire area and finish on page 98. Alright, walls and ceilings. Repairing large hole in wallboard. You effectively repair a large hole in the wallboard panel. Cementing patch cut from the scrap wallboard, place against the back of the plate, and the key hole to each saw correct the hole in a regular shape into the enlarged backup plate. Use a piece of plywood or wallboard for backup plate. Make it 2 inches or more larger than the whole cement in the longer side of the damaged panel. Cut a patch of scrap wallboard about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the whole. Cement it into the backup plate. Fill the crack around the patch and then cover the entire patch with small joint compound. When the compound is dry, finish in patch area. Repairing split wall board tape. Split wallboard tape that does not accompany noticeable cracking of the seam is generally caused by the shrinking of both panels. To fix it, remove all those segments of the tape, largely and small. Then they will not show up through the repair as the bulges. Work carefully. Try to avoid pulling away chunks of the joint compound wallboard core as remove the tape of the segment, sand section, split tape smooth. If there's any cracks, fill it with compound. Apply the new tape, then compound over the damaged one. Let the patch dry. The sand lightly. Mid-grade sandpaper. A second coat of compound may be needed to conceal the damage completely. Installing 2 layers of wallboard. 2 layers of wallboard increase the sound insulation qualities as well as eliminate the popping nails. Attaching the first layer of the regular 3/8 inch wallboard, usual way on page 95. Use a wide trowel to apply wallboard jump compound over the face of the base layer of the depths of about 8 inches apart from the outer layer of the wallboard in place. The joints of the 2 layers should be offset with 10 inches. To spread adhesive, make to the fit tight union. Hold the 2x4 on the outer layer of the wallboard and hammer it, tap it in, governing the entire panel this way. Nails should be driven into the stud to hold them in the 2 layers together. All unit heated. If it dries, then pull them out and fill the holes. So after insulating first layer of wallboard, applied joint compound, pull it out, put the outboard, place in the joints so the 2 boards do not coincide. Hammer, block, and press outer layer firmly against over other board. Repairing a dent in the wallboard. Frequently damaged wallboards are mounted with a dent rather than an actual break. Don't repair procedure similar to the repairing large hole, except with the dented wallboard itself becomes its backing material. Use coarse sandpaper to roughen paper to damage area to provide better grip with the compound filler. If dented, large, apply a layer of wallboard joint compound. Slowly allow it to dry overnight, then apply additional layers. Same way, large cavity roughly filled with the compound. When the catch is thoroughly dry, sand it. Finish it. If the dent is small, you can fill it with a single application. Complete the job by sanding patch area and smoothing level. Fixing nail pops in wallboard. Nail pops occur when the nail has been sunk into the wallboard and been moving outward, causing the protrusion, bumping the panel, otherwise smoothing in the paper-like surface. There are several possible explanations for this nail movement. The nail may have been properly set in the first place for the framing member. It may have shrunken and expanded under the different variety of humidity with the conditions. For vibration or other building movement, it may be responsible for the gradual nail creep. Usual repair procedures: insert the new nail with about 1.5 inch away from the propped one. Drive the new nail home straight and true, dimple, and with the surrounding surface. When you're done, firming press to the wallboard by hand against the framing of the other, that there will be no movement over the panel on the new shank. If the proposed nail set cannot be removed easily, sink it below the surface with using a nail set necessary to remove all the loose compound, dust, other material. Repair both damaged and dimpled areas with joint compound. The nail pop-up miner is not located in the prominent places properly, can be ignored and should be in a glossy surface, but however the places that with a brightly illuminated repair essentially. Sometimes the pop nail may have been gotten and loosened to that and clinking in again, and would it do latter if the cement coated next larger places pop one. Or replacing wood paneling. Remodeling a room is often necessary to replace wood paneling because of the other damage for the other purpose for the decoration. Remove the panel solids if it is possible, particularly crown molding and baseboard. It may be difficult to match the original finish. To pry off the wood panel, start with a putty knife and file with a wide flat chisel with a very thin pry bar. Work carefully, avoid the damage of the pieces that are being removed. The joining panels for most cases you'll find when the panel is secured to a stud with a glue at all points except under the molding baseboard. You'll probably have to scrape off the glue and remains of on the studs or the wall before you can install the new panel. Alright, baseboards. Replacing a damaged baseboard. Beginning with the removal of the section of the baseboard, inserting the end of the pry bar, chisel behind the wall and baseboard, pry outward slowly, carefully, fully, and so to avoid splitting of the wood. Place a wooden wedge into the gap and create with the pry bar and continue with the prying actions and using succession wedges working along with the board. When the board is freed, place the new section alongside it and mark the length of the required miter cuts in the miter box to make the cuts. Join baseboards at the corner. Replacement baseboards involve the inside corner. Take special care of the measuring, the making the necessary cuts. Two sections meet the inside of the corner brought together with a cope joint. Joint is somewhat more difficult. Is made with a plain miter. It takes more time when it's well done. However, the results are trim and attractive. The miter joint is used when other two meeting sections of the board must be cut and joined at outside angle. Alright, stairs. Its simplest form. Stairs can consist of two pieces of wood, stringers sloping from the one floor to another step and then fixed between them. There are, however, two basic staircase constructions. The open stringer type, with the top edge of the stringer are cut outside the sawtooth fashion, and the steps are horizontally treads, vertical risers. Find them. A closed stringer, the edges of the stringers are straight, and the grooves are cut into the inside face with the accommodation of the steps. Many staircases are made with a combination of the method of steps and fixing the closed stringer on one side, for example, against the wall, or on the other side, the rest of the edge of the open stringer. When one side of the staircase has open stringer, the repairs of the steps can be easily made with above them both sides and close. However, the repairs must be done from under the chairs. They may be involved with stripping off lath and plaster the wall board. Complications arise in staircases. Additional supports from running beneath the steps. This does not affect the repair of the open stringer design, but it makes replacement of the steps as closed staircase's major structural job. Eliminating squeaks. Most squeaks in stairs are caused by the treading, rubbing against the top of the bottom of the riser against the stringer at the end of at either end. Visible parts of the stairway consist of treads, risers, stringers, and molding. Important hidden parts include the nails and glue, the holding them all assembled together. Triangle-shaped glue blocks are strengthened in the joints between the tread and riser. The wedges are frequently glued in closed stringer joints to give the structural additional strength and stability. Once you've determined the source of the squeak, permanent course of the possibility is understood. If underside of the stairway is open, the repair can be made. Whereas it also be invisible. Powdered graphite or other dry lubricants will silence and considerable muffle some squeaks, such as those that come in the area with the treaded joints or risers. The dry lubricants do not, however, offer a permanent solution to the problem. So you have a squeak, you have the braids and tread and risers, the driving block and the wedges, and then you snip them. And then, or you could do it from the underside with a shelf bracket, a wedge, and driving blocks, or the housing, and glue and screw. Alright, tightening, loosening bolsters. Sometimes settling of the housing causes flight of the chairs to sag. This can be above the loosening of the bolster. The vertical post supports handcraft. Tightening the bolsters, driving small hardwood ledges between the post and the handrail. Stairs, treads, risers from above. Any homeowner is likely to run into a member of stairway repair problems, especially if the house is an old one. The entire stair structure could become shaky and need reinforcement. Handrails could be required tightening and bolsters need to be reset. If the wall of the house is settled to pull a stringer away from the steps, the simple way to correct this condition is to force a stringer back into the position, driving the wedge between the wall and the stringer. Do not use wedges, however, the gap between the stringer and the steps is more than a half an inch. If you do, the stringer is liable to split. The only way to deal with such wide separation is to replace all the steps. Repair problem arises frequently. The treads and risers is flat, have that battered or worn treads. Instead of replacing old treads or new, it's easier just to turn the tread over so the unsightly side is down and undamaged to the side upmost. Or repairing treads and risers from below. When When staircases close for the both sides, the treads and risers must be removed from underneath. Such repairs can be done relatively easy if you can gain access to the rear of the stairs from the floor below. If this is impossible, it's best to get a professional help. Eliminating squeaks. Squeaks on the floor, which often cover the loose board of the rubbing against another the board, against the nail of the looseness of the traceable of the faulty original construction, usually improperly sectioned lumber or just plain old age. First step of eliminating a squeak of the groaning sound of the hit point location. However, some of the walk of the floor to get in the squeak where you trace the sound from the source. If the squeak occurs on the floor of the main floor of the basement ceiling has the exposed joints, you may be able to make repairs from below, installing additional bridging between the joints, toe-nailing space, solid pieces 2x8 in place, or 2x4 staggering to permanent nailing their ends from the outside of the joints, or can drive the wooden wedges between the joists and the floor at the point where the squeaking occurs. If in the basement ceiling is finished, use a special flooring nail. Squeaks in the floor above the main floor. Repair must be made in surface of the floor itself. You can do this by driving special spiral-shaped flooring nails through the floor into the joist between the joists and the flooring. Eliminating squeaks. Many squeaks of the floor can be traced and changed with the take place of the shape of the wood. Longitudinal warp of the joist will bring about dipping, causing insufficient supporting of the gain given into the section of the diagonally laid subflooring. When a portion of the floor is weakened this way with a squeak and develop with several directions, you can repair the condition permanently by forcing a length of hardwood longer than the gap against the subflooring, using a wedge pole set with a full is necessary with a nail with a pad securely with a place against the joist, and another change of the shell be taken in form of the warping floorboard, particularly one that curls up at the end of the remedy of this is the drill a clearance hole, then drive spiral flooring nails through the high points of the warp into the just and beneath. Shows a sagging beam, a longitudinal warp and sag just have the flooring inadequately supported. And to correct this, the force of the piece of hardwood longer than the gap in the piece, nail it to the joist, and then we'll permanently repair the fault. Warp floorboards and shows the nailing sections, joint movement, nail all longitudinal edging, cut additional bridging, toenail, top and bottom of the both ends of the solid bridging and the joint joists. Correcting sag. Sagging floors can be the direct cause of the such of the annoyance of the sag, sticking the wood, doors and windows, cracks in the ceilings, wall plaster, even the roof leaks. The sag must be corrected before any remodeling is attempted. The sag in the floor of the first floor will affect all the floors above and the roof as well, but it causes insufficient support under the floor joists. So the corrections that are made for the basement will take care of all the sags. One method is a short house jack equipped with a 4x4 vertical post extension. Raise the sagged joist beyond the original position. Place a heavy beam concrete basement floor at the base of the jack to prevent concrete from crumbling under the tremendous force that must be applied with the raised joist. Another beam in the dot is now to put in position overhead sagging joist. It's held in place with a thrust against the jacks of a 4x5 post extension. The jack handle is then turned, pushing the horizontal beam against the sagging joints, gradually raising and cautioning must exercise at all points, such as resistance are felt when the jack handle, but the operation must stop at least 24 hours. Caution must be exercised at this point, such for as soon as the resistance felt on the jack handle, the operation must stop for at least 24 hours. Continued lifting could cause considerable damage to the house. After 24 hours, safe to make a 1/4 turn handle, but no more. No matter how easy to lift with the jack, how long it may take to remove the sag gradually, the 1/4 turn every 24 hours should not be exceeded. You can make the repair permanently install the steely lolly column at each end of the supporting beam. Each column should be mounted on a concrete foundation of 24-inch square or 12 inches thick. Adjustable steel jack posts are more convenient installing lolly columns, but they are more expensive. Some buildings codes require the jack post screws mechanisms are be welded to prevent further turning, and other required mechanisms to be buried 6 inches of concrete. Alright, replacing damaged floorboards. There are many reasons for removing old section floor, replacing it with a newest section may be damaged. You may have to cut it out with the sound section, the defect within plumbing underneath. No matter what reason, maybe the method of the replacement is always the same, but a series of overlapping holes occurring across the center of the damaged piece. Take the certain not to get too far into the subflooring. There is no subflooring center holes of the joist to support with the replacement. Either chisel of the tongue section out of the split down in the middle or square the jagged edges of the hole. Cut the piece with the new flooring length of the sunk fit that will go down into the opening however until the lower half of the groove is removed. The coat tongue and groove with glue. Insert replacement tongue, old floor groove, drive groove side down into the opening. Drive pilot holes from the nails at the end of the board, along with the groove side of the long board. Drive in the cement coated nails and sink the nail heads. Installing hardwood under laminate. Badly worn floorboards can be covered with tiles and lithium to get a result with either of the under alignment. Maybe you first pull down with the damaged floorboards. Hardwood is excellent for this purpose. You can buy hardwood, maybe especially for the under alignment, in 4x4 square foot, easy size to work with. The special hardboard is 1/4 inch thick and smooth on both sides. Once you can buy 4x8 feet sheets of hardboard and cut them into 4-foot squares. Standard hardboard edges of the room is where the blade 48 hours before installing. Prepare the floor, filling the gaps and cracks, and sanding and nailing down loose boards. Lay ordinarily hardboard with the rough side down. Lightly bevel the edges of the hardboard before nailing. Okay. Using a drum sander. A drum sander is an expensive tool for rent with a handle with a major for the floor refurbishing. Mentorship the consist of the receipt revolving rubber covered drum mounted with a wheel frame. It's backward, lifting the drum to the floor. Sheet sandpaper wrapped around with the drum. A removable bag attached with a vacuum arrangement collects the dust. A popular drum sander is excellent home use the powered and 1.5 horsepower motor. It operates at 117 volts at 20 to 60 cycles AC or DC. It can be plugged into any wall outlet. When you're ready to use the machine, until the back where the draw clears floor and switches with the power engine lowers the drum until the contact surface lower the drum tube. The quickly and sandpaper will scar the floor. The drum and the sander operates in both directions. The rate of the drum in the beginning and the end of each cut with the pass across the floor sands with the grain whenever the possible. Machine tends to pull away from the operator to check that it moves at all slow and even throughout the operation. Alright, using a disc sander, the floor edge of the sanding threads with the long baseboards of the corners and side sockets and other places accessible large drum sanders can't. Refinishing hardwood floors. Preparation important for the job of the refinishing floors. Taking the furnishing out of the room, remove the shoe molding, save it to put back later. Remove the molding will make the edge sanding possible with the damage to the baseboards. All project nails should be either pulled or set below the surface of the loose boards, nailed down. Do the initial drum sanding with a grain and some continuous pass across the room. The first sanding uses open cuts, coarse sand belts or pan on the drum. Many number of passes are required to expose the bare wood as many unsanded sections overlap the areas of just sanded with a continuous until you have done the entire floor. Trim the belt with a finer grade of sandpaper to final drum sander. Do not use the worn out coarse belt, instead one with a finer grit. The next part of the operation is done with the edge of the inaccessible section with a hand sander for the floor finish. Apply penetrating sealer, furnish shellac lacquer, one over the polyurethanes. Polyurethanes are more expensive, but give the durable surface to the moisture and scratch resistant, using 2 coats for any finish. Apply either liquid paste or the polishing wax. Never use water wax made specifically with hardwood floors. Use soft cloth and applicator with above the electrical polisher. Apply coat to under the dry initial coat and polish it and complete the job and replace the shoe molding. Replacing damaged tile. The easiest way to remove the tile without damaging it is either to apply heat with a torch or warm iron. To warm the soften the adhesive underneath the permitting the tilt of the tile to be lifted off. Start with lifting one side of the corner and work toward the center. If practical, you can use a chisel and tile away, starting in the center with the progressive out of the edges. As you remove the tile, scrape it away with the old adhesive. Drive the new towel into the opening, matching the patterns if necessary. If it does not fit the trim, sand it as you knew the fits extreme exactly warm as it could. The only one to make it feasible with applied adhesive to an area where the new towel will be laid. Install the towel and weigh it down until the adhesive sets. Replacing surface defects on the towel. The correct scratches, dents, or towel scrap must be scrape most of the surface of the scrap piece of some of the material to grind it into a powder. Make the powder with the colorless lacquer. Quickly dry finish, quick drying varnish to make the paste. Trowel the paste in the scratch or dented area. The paste of that has dried in the smooth fine steel wool boiled line side oil. Moving stains from tiles. If the force of grease to spill from the resistant floor is not removed, fairly soon the spill will become a stain when the substance for the cause of the stain determines if the material that will remove it. Most effective stains removed are everyday items of the average household bleach, white vinegar, water, hydrogen and peroxide, rubbing alcohol, household ammonia, lighter fluid, and nail polish. Remove it if the tried in the order given. One of them will eventually solve the problem. In most cases, the first time household bleach will do the job. The stain cause of the entire floor is sometimes what gumming causes the too much wax or too many coats on the top of one another. Strong ammonia or solution, a commercial cleaner should clear it up. Patching sheet flooring. When sections of sheet flooring, such as linoleum, sheet vinyl, are patched effectively with the relation ease, getting a piece of the same material as the floor covering and the patches. Be sure the large area, the damaged area of the places over the worn section. Be sure the pattern matches exactly, and tape it in position using a linoleum knife, sharp knife, in the both end of the new thickness and material extent of the patch well beyond the damaged area. Remove both pieces. Thoroughly clean the area with the under the old floor covering. Trowel fit with the patch. Remove it and then adhesive to the floor and the back of the patch. Put the patches in place. Weight it down flat after the adhesive has dried. Alright, double hung windows. Components of operation double hung windows is so called that it has an upper and outside sash that slides down and lowers inside. Each that slides up, the movements made with the control of the pulleys equipped with the cords, weights, or springs concealed with the side jam sections of the unit. Sub and double hung sash windows are aluminum but are made of wood. The typical type of the wood is adaptable to many architectural styles, has been in the house for centuries. Alright, how to correct sticking. Windows are typically usually stick and for one of three reasons. Paint, dirt with accumulated in the grooves of the edge of the various top moldings, humidity cover, the expansion swelling of the wood parts, or three, weather stripping is too snug. First, these problems can be eliminated by sanding and cleaning, usually without completely dismantling the window unit. The other two can generate with the overcommon lubrication, generally tapping a block of the wood width of the sash groove along with the groove expanded to the frame. If some of the remedies work, you will have to remove the sash from the frame and lightly plane down one time both sides, just enough to permit the free movement when it's replaced. It shows replacing the sash. Spring-lifted sashes. Spring-lifted sashes, windows recognized by a tube that runs from the top of the window, a casing channel with a spring mechanism. The tube permits the window to be either raised or lowered, with a minimum of the effort of the type of the sash is inexpensive and is virtually maintenance-free. There are two types of spring bash balances tube type, and the most common inside of the tube is a spring attached to the twist rod. Rod keeps the spring taut with the window sash is still in any of the desired position. There's just enough tension, however, enable the window sash to be moved up or down very slightly. Occasionally, it's necessary to adjust the spring tension to allow the windows to move more easily. Photographs below show how to do this, how to replace the entire spring assembly should it break. And the second spring should have the steel strap design, which one looped end fastens to the window shaft sash, the other fastens to the window casing. This type of the non-set adjustable should be replaced if the window is action unsatisfactory. Hard sash balancing. The device is bought with a kit that eliminates sash weights and problem broken cord of the chain that consists of the spring inside of the revolving drum. The units insert with the pulley hole after the old sash pulley has been removed. The tape attached to the spring in the second secured with the window sash by means of an adapter hook. The melted strip is installed into the side of the sash by the spacing between the old cord and the window joints, and the precise spring needed to operate with the different size windows is specified in the chart which accompanies each kit. Alright, weather stripping windows, basic types. On most windows, especially the older houses, should be weather stripped to seal with the cracks opening with a permanent heat loss and the old air penetration. You can buy with a window weather stripping by foot over the yard or in the kits, complete with a roof rust-proof lack of tacks for the insulation. For the double hinge windows, there are several of the basic type of the weather stripping that can be applied with the special tools: thin spring metal strips, two vinyl available to tubular form and covering over a sponge core, or adhesive back foam attaching molding and snugly against the sash. Metal frame windows, casement awnings, and jowls type of weather strip with a transparent vinyl tape to go over the air edges and an adhesive back foam. This is installed at the joints. This is also an aluminum strip made especially for casements. All the windows open freely, then close tightly against all of the air frames. Replacing planes. When heavy gloves to the remove of the broken glass, take with that old putty to remove soften it is necessary with a soldering iron, a torch, or the soldering head. Extract glazier points, remove the bedding of the putty carefully, avoiding gouging groove, and coat with linear seed or thin exterior paint to prevent absorption of the oils from fresh putty or glazing compounds. Cut new pane, and preferably the double shrink glass about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the opening length of the width of the flow with the regularity applied with the thin head of the glazing compound to groove the press replacement pane in place, secured on all four sides with the glazier points spaced at 4 to 6 inches apart. Drive them into the sash about halfway using the side of the chisel putty knife with a screwdriver. Rolling the glazed compound into the rope at about 3/8 of an inch into the diameter, pressing along the edges of the plane, drawing the putty knife over it at an angle to form a neat triangular bead. Let the compound dry for a week or so, then paint to protect against it from the weather. Seat casement windows. Operation and maintenance. Casement windows are attached to the frame with a means of the hinge of the operator, the turning of the crank, except for the broken palings of the glass at the top of the window. Seldom need to prepare beyond with occasional tightening of the loose hinge and the cleaning of the lubrication of the operating of the crank and the arm. If opening and closing, they become increasingly difficult, however, to inspect with the conceal with the gear mechanism to get and remove the screws from the sack from the crank and some leave it fine with the gears that badly worn and entirely some leave it replaced. Should old hardened grease be cause of the problem, wash it out and with a solvent really lubricate. Make sure the operator air arm slides smoothly and the tracks windows open and close. The difficulty operation may be caused by accumulation of rust, hardened grease, or bent arm. Remove the operator with the tray in the arm to clean out the accumulated debris. Usually generous application of fresh grease is sufficient to restore the proper operation upon reassembly. If you feel the draft, even if the window is closed tightly, adjust the tighten locking handle. If it does not seem to seal the air satisfactorily, install a thin layer of the adhesive back foam weather stripping between each end of the frame. Or replacing panes. Panes replacement easement with the windows as much became the same as the procedure for the double hung windows of the panes with the easement windows. However, they are held in place by spring clamps instead of glazier pin points. Operation and maintenance. Through some of the made of the wood, though some of them made of the wood, most sliding windows are aluminum, and they may move along with a closely fitted track from the top to the bottom to facilitate ease. Smooth of the window operation. The bottom track contains nylon guide / indicate itself to remove the dismantle the replacement broken panes, taking out screws and pins that hold the upper and bottom rails to the side stiles. Glass is fitted tightly into the frame with a plastic glazing channel around the perimeter of the flange glazing bead mounted to that hold it against the glazing tape. Screens of the sliding windows are usually located on the outside door side of the window. They're used for the storm windows between screen and window. Screens and storm windows are self-storing. They are not removed except for the repair. Screens are one piece and cover the entire window area. The storm windows consist of the two halves pushed to one side in the summer, and maintenance consists primarily of removing the sash, cleaning and applying wax to surface of the metal, weather stripping it is grooved at the sash edges. The wax is used to make either a stick, paraffin, or paste wax. Oxidization deposit can be removed from the aluminum windows with a light household debris cleaner, mild detergent, and fine steel wool. When aluminum is cleaned, the application is automobile paste wax will protect it for at least a year. Alright, awning and joistful windows. Awning and windows used in operation maintenance. Awning windows hinge with the top of the swinging out with the bottom, but they may have one more slashes to the top of the window. They provide maximum ventilation plus protection against the rain damage when the window is open. The screens and storm sash can readily be detached, removed from the inside of the house. Usually, awning windows are operated as means with a crankcase, a crank-like easement windows, and scissors-type linkage that permits rapid adjustment. Moves off the awning windows may be tilted from flat from washing from the inside. The detachable hinges permit removal of each of the maintenance for repair. Joistful windows used for the operation of maintenance. Joistful windows are made with a horizontal glass slats and they have the metal frame at each of the end. The metal frames are connected by levers. Tent joistlers operate like awning windows, but they do not protrude as far as they can be used more limited spaces because they are a relatively large number of hinge. Joistful windows cannot be made completely weather-tight, transparent vinyl. Other stripping remedies with some of the extent, but their windows are still better suited for the wet, warm than cold climates. Joistful windows are also acceptable for rooms that do not keep heated in the winter or air conditioned during the summer. Preparation and procedures. Installing a new window for that frame is comparatively easy with replacing the frame exactly duplicate with the old one. You simply buy the new frame to match with the original, possibly saving the old sash, remove the old frame to put in the new one. Older dwellings with often lack the natural light with the installation made to do with the straight substitution, but with a supplementary putting a large window or adding one or more windows to the room. If you want to brighten, in either case, choose a standard ready-made window unit, being sure that it will be blended architectural with existing windows. May carefully cut the new opening on a part of the wall with contains electrical, plumbing, heating lines unless they can be relocated. In some cases, you can determine their presence by inspecting the wall from the basement. The framing must be square and true and should be installed with accordingly standard practices as close as possible. Must be sturdy enough to bear the weight above the opening with the sagging of the distortion. Also support the weight of the window unit and ensure that all this will be done with the 2x4s in the both headers and siders. When the opening is more than 4 feet wide, the header size is increased. The headers also trusted, if possible, in order to divert some of the weight from the above the sides of the will be carried down to the sill. A span about 5.5 feet requires 2x6s and a 7-foot span by 2x8s. More than 7 feet is 2x10s. Alright, how to make aluminum storm windows. Measuring. Aluminum storm windows can be built at home with a fraction of the cost of the ready-made aluminum sashes sold with the most hardware store that comes fitted with a glazing channel with a protect with a shield with a glass area with converted with design square feet or less. Storm sashes will carry a single piece with a double string with a glass and area with a larger with the necessary to divide with the window into 2 or more parts. Make all measurement of the double hung window with the just outlining outside of the blinding stop with the storm sash with against with the wood when put into place with the measurement given with the below allow the speed with the hanging brackets beating the rail channels and slight errors in cutting. A single full length with air storm sash requires 4 pieces with aluminum each sash check with the top and bottom rail that should be 1.5 inch smaller than the width of the opening of the 2 vertical side rails should be 1/2 inch smaller than the height of the opening. 2-piece storm sash has an 8 aluminum section made with the 4 horizontal pieces 1/4 inch smaller than the width of the opening and the 4 vertical pieces with 1/4 inch smaller than the height of the opening divided by 2. 3-piece storm sash for extra ball windows is made up of the 12 section horizontal pieces are 1/4 inch smaller than the width of the opening, and then the vertical passes are 1/2 inch smaller than the height of the opening divided by 3. Casement window frames usually have the holes along the side of the middle of the screw with the clips through the hole for the screen and storm sash for the inside of the window with the measure of just the inside of the holes. The measure of the length of one from the top of the operator, both inside of the frame and the top and end of the 1/4 inch from the overlap. Awning windows of the storm sash also attached in the increased groove of the sashes into the blinding stops, and you will probably have to attach a wooden filler strip with a hole from the crank to at the bottom of the window opening. Take measurement just inside of the blind stop with the width of 1/4 inch less than the opening height is 1/2 inch or less than the distance of the top of the filler strip over the top of the opening. Basement windows can be fitted with a storm sash on the inside and or the outside, a dimension of the 1/3 inch more than the width of the height of the opening to provide 1/2 inch gap overlay with a wooden frame secured with the storm seal with the wood screws. Frames are metal and fitted with the storm same as the casement window. Alright. Moving on, simply before making cutting check with the measurement of the original aluminum storm slash available with if you have several windows to assemble a considered buy with a smaller miter box and a hacksaw. All single strength glass is acceptable to paint of the 9 square feet with a double strength with a recommended with every smaller size. It costs very little more. Glass must be cut accurately with square corners of the slash can be assembled properly. You can order glass cut to measure for them and cut it yourself. When cutting a glazing channel with a miter, the corner of the cut only the edge of the channel and the will not separate at this point. Friction fit corner locks are used to secure the miter corners, but push them into place with the top general with a wood mallet. Do not use the hammer; it might damage the sash. Stack the corner locks into the sash side members at a 3.5-inch nail. Be careful not to damage the lack of the drive of the nail just hard enough to dimple the aluminum of the sash. All aluminum storms windows should have an adhesive back form weather stripping around the perimeter to make the tight seal against the frame and a blind stop. No matter how accurate the construction, storm slash will not function right without complete seal. The maintenance besides cleaning the glass, you should remove the oxidation stain from the metal parts. Use special aluminum oxide remover and combined with a polish and very fine steel wool followed with a paste wax. Wood sash, storm windows, maintenance and repairs. Storm windows reduce draft, hold down fuel bills, more heating of the air conditioner system function more efficiently. Installing storm windows so that they fit snugly into the window frame with a stripping window to make the seal even tighter. The both inner and outer windows are completely sealed, but neither will sweat, and an insulating dead air space between the windows and reduces heat loss of the outside, keeps out cold air. During the cold weather months in an air-conditioned house with a dead air space helps to retain the cold of the air, keeps out the heat when the weather is hot. Good maintenance of wood sash storm windows requires periodic removal of repainting needed to prevent swelling of the distortion of the absorption of moisture. While the windows is down, inspect it with the hangers and hooks and loose screws and joints and an adjustable crumbling, missing putty, broken glass. Alright, maintenance and repair. Black and enamel steel wire will no longer use the screening of the galvanized steel of the wire. Practical to disappear from the market. They have then replaced with the screening of the rust proof of the material such as bronze, copper, plastic, aluminum, lover type of the either brass or aluminum. Other popular new types of the fiberglass screening must be the anodized aluminum available to use the backed enamel finish. Any screening wood with a good job of keeping even with the smaller insects out of the house is made with lining enough the mesh of the 18 by 16 practical choice with reasonable care of the bond screws still will have in the last many years. Accidental holes, however, they are just about unavoidable. It is important to repair them before they get to larger replacement is required. Plastic or wire screening will become dirtier wire and additional will corrode. Clean both types of the periodically use round brush and attachment on a vacuum. Keep wood frames of the painted not just for looks but to prevent the absorption of moisture may cause swelling with the distortion. Even the rotting aluminum frames will probably need occasional cleaning and a coat of the wax to deteriorating organization or oxidation. If loose, joint loosen and reglue. Add reinforcement corner plates, 2 plates, remaining plates over the corrugated chevron shaped fastener, wood screws glued in dowels to make the repair permanent. Inspect hanger and damage of the brackets for the housing with a hook of the screen. Also see to any of the screws loosening or missing. Also check for the interior fasteners to be certain that they are all functioning properly. Alright, screens. Replacing a wooden frame screen. Even so-called lifetime screen cannot take the severe blow when it is inflicted by, say, a hard hit baseball. Any type of the screen might sometimes need the replacement of galvanized metal screens begins to rust. It is advisable to replace it right away. Just because the rust is unusable, it may be to keep it from staining adjoining areas. When replacing wood frame screen, remove the molding carefully so that it can used around the new screening. Use one of the newer rust-proof types of the out screening for the replacement by a piece of screen layer. Screening larger than the area to be covered excess to the edge and give it something to hold on when pulling the screen through to fit into the frame. Replacing half the screen. One half of the screen contains a center rail with the damage can replace the adjusted section rather than the entire screen. Use the matching screen with the material that you can use for the appearance sake. Since the bow of the method shown above all will not work with a partial repair. Follow the alternate method first, or secure the new screening into the center, then make up the clip of the two boards and nail it to the bench top of the secure the screening in a pair of the wedges driven between the clamp and the ends of the screen frame will supply the required tension into the new screening. All their ship of the replacement process of the shade is given above the full-length screens. Alright, assembling aluminum screen. The various parts of the makeup of the aluminum screen of the frame that can be purchased from the store for the carry to do with it yourself. With aluminum prop with the screen frame parts which are the same side of the eave of the store in windows, and also take the same corner locks, other fittings, therefore interchangeable with the storm window parts. Of the difference between the two is that the opening of the screen frame is faced with it, and it's fitted with the aluminum tongue with called a spline, rather than a glazing channel. Windows measuring the aluminum screen of the frame is made the same way from the same of the points of the described in storm wash. Since only one half of the double hung window can be opened at a time, you can save the money and labor time by making only half screens. These can be used to replace the lower half of the matching storm windows with the upper half of left in the place. Window types other than double hung will need the full-length screens and will be fitted with the following same procedures as specified in their storm sash. Though metal splines that comes up with the aluminum screen frame section will work perfectly for the initial installation, may not work as well with the later replaced screening. For the replacement purpose of the screening to be occurred using plastic spline that compresses slightly when installed. You can use a special tool, an expensive roller made from purpose to force plastic spline into frame channel. Alright, window shade, solving shade problems. Improper winding shades will not end up with a satisfied with the area when it's correctly installed. Remove it from the brackets and increase the spring tension brad with the rolling it in shape of the hands. Return it to the brackets for repeated tension. Still with the two stock, the shade winds up with it will bang until you take it down, partially unroll it, and then pull it back up and check if it's in operation. If the tension is too great, broken spring. If it cannot correct the lack of the tension of the spring, replace the entire roller. Binding when the shade binds of the roller fits to the tightly with the when in between the bracket and the tap of the bracket lightly with a hammer flat, and then with a bit. If it doesn't work, move the bracket forward. This is impossible to cover. The brackets are mounted inside of the window casing, and then remove the rounded fixed pin in its barrel from the roller and cost of the pin down slightly. Falling when the shade repeatedly falls out of the brackets are too far apart. If they are mounted outside of the window casing, move one of them and a little closer to the mounted inside of the casing, pushing the cardboard shim under each of the bracket into the decrease the spacing. Wobbling. A bent roller pin may be shade wobbling with the operated straight into the joints with the pliers and a pin. If the pin is rusty or dirty, clean it with sandpaper. Failure to catch. A shade will not catch it when pulled with the dull of the wrongs. Poly patches do not engage the notch of the ratchet clear of the air with lubricate graphite. Accumulate with threads on the cloth shade will prevent pulls from catching. Worn shade cloth. The shade can be salvaged if the worn only on the bottom edge. Trim off the damage of the parts of the remove the cloth over the roller. Remount the tacking of the stapling of the cut bottom of the roller. Be sure to straighten the cut shape when put off on one side. Cutting a shade if the spring cavity of the roller is not distributed, the shade can be cut down into it with an narrow window. Remove the cloth from the roller slat and then solve the roller to the predetermined length of the round of the pin side. Put the barrow on the newly cut end with a hammer to the pin straight and to make sure of the pin is the exact center of the roller. Shrift the cloth out. Make sure the new width to several points. Join the points of the straight line. Carefully cut the scissors razor blade. Shorten the bottom slat to fit the new hem. And if the shade has a pull cord, drill a new hole for the cord. Alright, replacing cords or tapes. Place a worn lift down on the cord of veteran blade. First remove the end cap, then remove the cover from the bottom slat with a wooden blind of the extra thick bottom slat through which the cord passes. Untie with the knot of the tilt cord side with the bottom joint with the old cord to the new cord. The transparent tape with the down just a matter with the gently threading of the new with the cord up through the holes on the slat and continuing over the entire route with the old cord until the knot on the opposite side of it is wreathed until the cord should be changed. At the same time when this is done, simply pushing it through the opening and placing it into the pulley. When it becomes necessary to replace a soiled or worn tapes to take out the bracket clips, lift out the head box and remove the blind from the window. Stretch it out on the table and floor. Remove the metal cover from the bottom slat. Both ends of the cord should be untied, pulled free, and this will relieve the slats so that they may be pulled out and washed and painted. The old tapes may be discarded after they have been unfastened from the clamping and arrangement at the top of the bottom. When you have new tapes, make certain that they have the same number of ladders of the old tape. They have the same width slats installed with the new tapes and fastening them into the top of the bottom ends. Then thread lift cord through the tapes. Important, make certain that your thread and the cord through the alternate sides of the woven ladder is in the tapes. Replacing tapes is always advisable to replace the lift and the tilt cords at the same time. Drapery hardware. Stationary transverse insulation windows. Drapery is designed to remain more or less stationary, but they can be hung and fixed certain rods and poles, but with a fragment adjusted for the necessary for the desired from the sake of the privacy current control light to obtain the decorative effect of the trans rod is recommended. The transverse rod can be properly manually remotely controlled electrical motor. When drapes are in transverse hung, no matter how wide in an area they can open both from one side, close them as just easily as part of the all the way. Transverse rod can be mounted on the window casing, windows ceiling regular type of the hardware to hold the draperies. If any of the current rods more than 48 inches in length, make certain that there is an adequate intermediate support. One more bracket space equal distance in transverse rod installation whenever specified in the instruction for the span of the rod covers. Draperies can offer the additional advantage changing the window apparently size, giving the impression of the increased height and width you might want, and for example, the hang drapes beyond the frame to full advantage of the window's width and with the maximum natural light that can be achieved by using exterior plates which are mounted directly onto the window casing so that no wall mounting is needed. They can also be used to make windows seem taller. Alright, drape mounting. With either of the transverse stationary curtain rod that should be attached directly to the window casing position of the bracket's upper corners of the casing, add one or more intermediate supports for the rods more than 48 inches long. For windows that do not have a casing, the drapery mountings are usually placed 4 inches above the window with from 6 to 18 inches out from each of the side of the drapery to pull off when the room gets available natural light. If the rod is near the ceiling, make sure that your mount is parallel with the ceiling. Use the toggleable screw anchors to the mount with the rod with a hollow wall. Brackets and supports for ceiling insulations are same as the wall insulations are mounted with substantially the same way when the end of the rod fitted with the flush to the walls. Brackets are necessary. Where the brackets are placed when they can adjust the rod with the full length with simultaneously closing the opening of the pull the rod face down on the floor. Adjust to the correct lengths to fit between into the brackets. Pull outer cord to draw the left master slide as far as it will go. Then cord will held taut and move the right master slide so the right is as it will as far as go. Have the cord secure under the lug of the front of the other master slide. Right master slide. When the rod is placed into the bracket, the cord can be properly tensioned. Then can mount the base of the spring-loaded pulley of the baseboard wall or floor. Pull the yoke into the throat with a nail hole in the pulley. Open the yoke and place the cord loop under the pulley wheel and close the pulley yoke. Pull out the right hand knot behind the master slide until the cord is slack free and new knot. Cut off the surplus and remove the nail from the pulley stem. Binding and looseness. We can probably cut out the tape right there.